Good morning, guys. Good morning, everyone. Welcome into the morning live. This is Trev from Trevessence, and you all know by now that at this time of the morning, we gather here to do our Bible reading, which we do each morning. I want to say thanks to everybody who have been coming in and supporting the movement, if you call it, if you will. Those of you who have been coming in and sharing additional literature with me, I appreciate that. Those of you who have commented, who have, just come in, and if you just peeped in, if you came in, if you said something, if you shared the live, whatever your contribution is, I sincerely appreciate you. I appreciate you all. Now, for those of you who are just discovering my channel, a very special welcome to you. Thank you so much for stopping by. Let me just preface with this. Now, each morning, most mornings, I should say, because when I work overnight, I usually don't read the Bible in the morning. I'll be too tired. But hold on. Why are you alarm so late? But anyway, let me get back to what I was saying. For those of you who are just coming, just discovering my channel, just coming on for the first time, I just want to let you know that I do not endorse any particular religion or denomination. Okay? What I'm simply doing is taking you with me on my journey. I mark you, I said my journey. I'm not here to indoctrinate anybody. I'm not here to discourage or encourage any following of any religion or any denomination at all. I'm simply reading the Bible because the Bible has been presented to me all my life as my moral directive. And so I think it is imperative for me to know what is in the Bible. So I have taken on this challenge to read the Bible from beginning to end so I can familiarize myself with the stories in the Bible, and at the end of it, determine whether or not this book that was given to me was worth the while, if you will. So for those of you who have been on the journey with me, I want to say thank you all so much. The ride has been incredible so far. A few days ago, we entered into the New Testament. Now, the New Testament sort of takes on a new feeling for me. Why I say this, if you all notice in the Old Testament, all right, so you'll notice that we have been given God, Jesus in the form of a God in the form of Jesus, I should say. This is how many of us were brought up, to believe that there is a Holy Trinity, there is a Father, there's a Son, there is a Holy Spirit, and all that goes along with that. Different denominations and different religions teach differently. But basically, we have been given this invisible being, God, as the all knowing, all powerful, knowing everything, allowing things to happen, even when those things are not in alignment with our desires. All that sort of thing. Okay? This is what has been presented to us. But in reading the Old Testament, I have noticed that it is the prophets, all these prophets who have written their books, who have documented what they consider to be their spiritual experiences. These prophets write what they think, what they say the Lord said to them, either in a dream, mostly in a dream. It's always in a dream. God always be talking to them in their dreams. It's very rarely when they are awake and up and about. It's always in their dreams. Their God is talking to them and telling them things. And if you notice in the Old Testament, it is always reported by a prophet that God told them something. No, don't get me wrong, guys. But if everything that the president says, you never hear the president say anything. It is always somebody coming and telling you the president told them this when they went to the White House. The president emailed them and told them this. The president, but you have never heard the president speak. Would you have any inclination to question what these people say the president told them? I'm just asking this question hypothetically, or would you just believe every single person who come on the internet and say, I spoke with the president in my dream, or I had visited the White House and the president had told me this, but you for yourself have never heard the president speak? Would you believe every single person who come to tell you? All right, we know the answer to that. You wouldn't believe everybody who told you, but my question now is, how would you be able to determine who was telling the truth and who was not? And I'm going to leave that right there. I'm not going to expound on it, not going to say anything else. I'm just going to leave it right there. Now we are over into the New Testament. And why I say the New Testament has taken on a different feel is that now there are people, the reports. Now, Jesus isn't writing anything. And why I say Jesus, because the New Testament begins with Jesus. But we don't see him writing, but we see his sayings being documented by people who seems to be there in person, not just in dreams. Do you all see where I'm getting at? You see the difference? Now it is you, big man, talking to me. It is you, Vanessa, talking to me. And then I am writing what you are saying. And these are not just conversations that we are having behind closed doors or behind the unconsciousness of a dream. These are events that are occurring out in the open, where there are witnesses, there are other people who are seeing and hearing what is going on. Does that present to you some more plausibility than had been presented in the Old Testament? I leave you to think about that while I move on. We are onto the book of Matthew. Good morning, guys. Diddy King and DJ H and everybody else in the chat. Welcome. Thank you all so much for stopping by. This is Welcome to Trevessence, and this morning we will be reading the book of Matthew, chapters 9 through 11. Matthew chapter 9. And you are invited, guys, to read along with me with your book Bible or your Google Bible, whichever one suits you. Come along and read along with me. Matthew chapter 9. And he entered into a ship and passed over and came into his own city. And behold, they brought to him a man sick of the palsy, living on a bed. And Jesus, seeing their faith, said unto the sick of the palsy, Son, be of good cheer, thy sins be forgiven. And behold, certain of the scribes said within themselves, This man blasphemes. So you see, the scribes were saying that Jesus was blaspheming because he was telling this man who was a cripple, was bedridden, that his sins were forgiven. Because you see, coming from the ideology of the Old Testament, there was this deep separation and segregation of the people. Did you all notice that the people who claimed blessings and favors from their God were only the people who claimed to have some position in society? Did you all notice that? The people who claimed that God had spoken to them, you notice that they always had to elevate themselves first to being a prophet. Did you notice that? Okay. They had to first elevate themselves to being a prophet so that they could make themselves believable to the people. And after having elevated themselves to a prophet, then they become some kind of a revered individual in society. But that always had to happen first. So that would separate them from the rest of the people. That would make them special and important. You ever wonder why there were so many prophets? Because everybody wanted to be important. Everybody wanted to be important. That's why. Remember in 1 Kings, when King Ahaz and King Jehoshaphat had that conversation about going up to go fight with Assyria to regain control of the land of Ramoth Gilead. You all remember that? You all remember how many prophets King Ahaz had right there? 400. 400 prophets. Because everybody's ego was ruling them. Everybody wanted, it was almost like a movement. It would be like in today's society, like a TikToker or something, where there are so many TikTokers. There are so many people on social media. I think that's what it was. Everybody wanting to be considered important. And for them to ascend to that level of importance, they had to present themselves as a prophet. They had to claim this prophethood and have the people respect them as such. And by so doing, the people start believing them. So they can come up any morning and say, oh, I had a dream. I had a dream and the Lord told me XYZ, and get the people to believe them. Here, though, in the New Testament, I have noticed a difference in the presentation by these so-called prophets. All right? Let us continue. Welcome into the life for those of you who are just coming. Welcome. Thank you for coming. Let us continue. And behold, certain of the scribes said within themselves, this man blasphemes. And Jesus, knowing their thoughts, said, wherefore think ye evil in your hearts? For whether is easier to say, thy sins be forgiven thee, or to say, arise and walk? All right, so here it is saying Jesus realized that the scribes were thinking in their hearts that he had blasphemed by telling this man to get up and walk. And that is the separation I was talking about, the division where these prophets and scribes and these people in authority would believe that the man who is sick, who is bedridden, who is poor, is beneath them. And so they never expected that Jesus would present forgiveness to this individual who was bedridden. And it says that Jesus knew their thoughts. Of course, he was going to know. Why did he know their thoughts? Because it was their custom. It was their custom. So he asked them, is it better for me to forgive him or to tell him to get up and walk? Which one is easier? Let us continue. Verse 6 says, but that he may know that the Son of Man hath power on earth to forgive sins. Then saith he to the sick of the palsy, arise, take up your bed, and go unto your house. And he arose and departed to his house. But when the multitude saw it, they marveled, and glorified God, which had given such power unto men. And as Jesus passed forth from thence, he saw a man named Matthew, sitting at the receipt of custom. And he said unto him, follow me. And he arose and followed him. And it came to pass, as Jesus sat at meat in the house, behold, many publicans and sinners came and sat down with him and his disciples. And when the Pharisees saw it, they said unto his disciples, Why eateth your master with publicans and sinners? But when Jesus heard that, he said unto them, They that be whole need not be a physician. They that be whole need not a physician, but they that are sick. But go ye and learn what that means. I will have mercy and not sacrifice, for I am not come to call the righteous, but sinners to repentance. Then came to him the disciples of John, saying, Why do we and the Pharisees fast oft, but thy disciples fast not? And Jesus said unto them, Can the children of the bride chamber mourn, as long as the bridegroom is with them? But the days will come, when the bridegroom shall be taken from them, and then shall they fast. No man puts a piece of new cloth unto an old garment, for that which is put in to fill it up taketh from the garment, and the rent is made worse. Neither do men put new wine into old bottles, else the bottles break, and the wine runs out, and the bottles perish. but they put new wine into new bottles, and both are preserved. While he spake these things unto them, behold, there came a certain ruler, and worshipped him, saying, My daughter is even now dead, but come and lay thy hand upon her, and she shall live. And Jesus arose and followed him, and so did his disciples. And behold, a woman which was diseased with an issue of blood for 12 years came behind him, and touched the hem of his garment. For she said within herself, If I may but touch his garment, I shall be whole. But Jesus turned him about, and when he saw her, he said, Daughter, be of good comfort. Thy faith hath made thee whole. And the woman was made whole from that hour. And when Jesus came into the ruler's house, and saw the ministers and the people making a noise, he said unto them, Give place, for the maid is not dead, but is sleeping. And they laughed him to scorn. Hello, Brenda. Who else is here? Miss Tammy. Welcome, guys. And they laughed him to scorn. But when the people were put forth, he went in and took her by the hand, and the maid arose. And the fame hereof went abroad into all that land. And when Jesus departed thence, 2 blind men followed him, crying and saying, Thou son of David, have mercy on us. And when he was come into the house, the blind men came to him, and Jesus said unto them, Believe ye that I am able to do this? They said unto him, Yes, Lord. Then he touched their eyes, saying, According to your faith, be it unto you. And their eyes were opened. And Jesus straightly charged them, saying, See that no man know it. But they, when they were departed, spread abroad his fame in all that country. So you see, he told these 2 blind men that he had made to see, not to tell anybody, but they couldn't keep it to themselves. So they ran out and told everybody that Jesus had caused them to see again. He had healed their blindness. Verse 32, we're on to chapter 9. For those of you who are just coming, you are welcome to follow in your book Bible or your Google Bible. And as they went out, behold, they brought to him a dumb man possessed with the devil. And when the devil was cast out, the dumb spake. And the multitude marveled, saying, It was never seen like this in Israel. But the Pharisees said, He casteth out devils through the prince of the devils. And Jesus went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues, and preaching the gospel of the kingdom, and healing every sickness and every disease among the people. But when he saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion on them, because they fainted and were scattered abroad, as sheep having no shepherd. Then said he unto his disciples, The harvest truly is plenteous, but the laborers are few. Pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest, that he will send forth laborers into his harvest. All right. Thanks for the loves and the likes, guys. That is the end of the book of Matthew, chapter 9. And here we see Jesus traveling through the cities and the villages of Israel, healing people and apparently teaching them about the kingdom, of his Father. We are going to continue with the reading. We'll be reading St. Matthew chapter 10. So follow along with me, guys. Let's begin. St. Matthew chapter 10. And when he had called unto him his 12 disciples, he gave them power against unclean spirits to cast them out and to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease. Now the names of the 12 disciples are, the first one was Simon, who is called Peter, and Andrew his brother, James the son of Zebedee, and John his brother, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew the publican, James the son of Alphaeus, and Lebbeus, whose surname was Thaddeus. I don't know somebody I check from me either many from before me could walk and talk. Why the name Lebbeus sound so new to me? Does that name sound new to you all guys? Me never remember this name at all. I remember Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. But me not see the name Mark here, so. So Mark ain't no. So Mark wasn't no disciple. Clear. People, let me read this again. Let me read the name of the disciples again. And I'm not about to laugh and say, oh my God, I can't believe that you've never known the name of the disciples. I'm not afraid of saying I didn't know. Did you know? I have them a name first, me I hear them. First in my life. Let me read the names of the disciples again. The disciples were Simon. Yes, I know the name Simon. I remember that one. He's also called Peter. All right, so they called him Simon Peter. And Andrew, his brother. Yeah, I know that. James, yes, the son of Zebedee. I remember James. And John, his brother. Philip. I remember the name Philip only because I had this poem that I had learned as a child that had the name Philip in it. And Bartholomew, I remember the name Bartholomew, but Bartholomew was another one. And then there was Thomas. I remember Thomas, and I remember the name Matthew. Matthew was the publican. And then there was another James. That was James, the son of Alphaeus. And Lebbeus, whose surname was Thaddeus. Hold on, let me count. Let me see if it's a problem with your punctuation when you with this name that I don't know. Let's see. Simon, whose name was Peter, that's number 1. Then there was Andrew's brother, number 2. Then there was James, the son of Zebedee, number 3. Then there was John, his brother, number 4. Then there was Philip, number 5, and Bartholomew, number 6. There was Thomas, number 7, and Matthew, number 8. Matthew the publican. Then there was James, number 9. James, the son of Alphaeus, that was number 9. And Lebbeus. We never hear him yet, but he was number 10. His surname was Thaddeus. And then there was another Simon. There was Simon, the Canaanite, that's number 11, and Judah Iscariot, who also betrayed him, number 12. All right, so there we have given account for the 12 disciples. Just that one name I didn't know. But anywho, we are going to continue, my lovely people. Verse 5 said, These 12 Jesus sent forth and commanded them, saying, Go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter he not, but rather go to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. So you see, guys, even here, Jesus was discouraging his disciples from going among the people who were not Jews. He was discouraging them from going among the non-Jews. He says, do not go into Samaria. Samaria, do not go among those people. Let's continue. And as ye go, preach, saying, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out devils. Freely he have received, freely he should give. Provide neither gold nor silver, nor brass in your purses, nor scrip for your journey, neither two coats, neither shoes, nor yet scarves, nor yet staves, for the workman is worthy of his meat. And into whatsoever city or town he shall enter, enquire who in it is worthy, and there abide till he go thence. So every city they go, they should determine who in the city is worthy of this healing, authority that he has placed on the disciples. So you see, guys, there is still, even right there is still a recognition of the division between the descendants of the children of Israel, the descendants of Jacob, versus the people who might be living in the city who are not descendants of Jacob. So you see, Jesus is basically just maintaining their tradition. He said to them, you go out and you heal everybody, but do not go into a city that is not in Israel. That means this healing power I'm giving you is not for them. It's not for the outsiders. It is for Israel. And I mean, he said it in the Bible. All right. And he instruct them, before them heal anybody, they need to find out first whether this person is worthy. And the only way the person would be worthy is if the person is an Israelite, a true Israelite, a descendant of Jacob. All right, let us continue. He said they should find out first, inquire who in it is worthy, and there abide till he go hence. And when he came into a house, salute it. And if the house be worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it be not worthy, let your peace return to you. And whosoever shall not receive you, nor hear your words, when ye depart out of that house or city, shake off the dust of your feet. Verily I say unto you, It shall be more tolerable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah in the day of judgment than for that city. Behold, I sent you forth as sheep in the midst of wolves. Be ye therefore wise as serpents and harmless as doves. But beware of men, for they will deliver you up to the councils, and they will scourge you in their synagogues. And ye shall be brought before governors and kings for my sake, for a testimony against them and the Gentiles. But when they deliver you up, take no thought how or what ye shall speak, for it shall be given to you in that same hour what ye shall speak. So here Jesus is telling his disciples as he's sending them out to go minister to the rest of the people, he's saying to them, now don't forget that they are going to try to kidnap you, they're going to try to capture you, they're going to try to imprison you, they are going to take you before kings and counselors and governors for them to judge you, and possibly they'll put you in jail. Don't worry about what you are going to say in your own defense, because at the moment when they capture you and bring you before the council of judgment, the words that you must say in your own defense will be put in your mouth. Let's continue. Verse 20. For it is not he that speak, but the Spirit of the Father which speaks in you. And the brother shall deliver up the brother to death, and the father shall deliver up his child, and the children shall rise up against their parents, and cause them to be put to death. And he shall be hated of all men for my name's sake. But he that endureth to the end shall be saved. But when they persecute you in this city, flee ye into another. For verily I say unto you, ye shall not have gone over the cities of Israel till the Son of Man be come. Verse 24. The disciple is not above his master, nor the servant above his Lord. It is enough for the disciple that he be as his master, and the servant as his Lord. And when it says Lord, it really means your master. Like, back then they had a lot of, I want to say slaves. Yeah, they had, were those like indentured servants? But they had like servants if you were rich, if you were a governor, you had all these handmaids and maid servants and men servants living in your palace, takes care of the palace and the garden, etc. Now that's what they're talking about. So if you are one of those people who is living in the house of the governor, you are supposed to respect your master, your Lord. And that master and Lord it's talking about is the governor or the priest or whoever is the master of the house in which you live and work. Let's continue. Verse 24. The disciple is not above his master, nor the servant above his Lord. It is enough for the disciple that he be as his master, and the servant as his Lord. If they have called the master of the house Beelzebub, how much more shall they call them of his household? Fear them not, therefore, For there is nothing covered that shall not be revealed, and hid that shall not be known. What I tell you in darkness shall speak ye in light, and what ye hear in the ear, that preach ye upon the housetops. And fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear him which is able to destroy both body and soul in hell. And are not two sparrows sold for a farthing? And one of them shall not fall on the ground without your Father. But the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear ye not therefore, ye are of more value than many sparrows. Whosoever therefore shall confess me before men, him will I confess after before my Father which is in heaven. But whosoever shall deny me before men, him will I also deny before my Father which is in heaven. Think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I came not to send peace, but a sword. Let me read this again. Fear not that I am come to send peace. Not fear not, but think not. Don't even think that I am come to send peace on earth. I am not come to send peace. I am come to send the sword. Okay. I'm marking that right there because we're going to get back to that at some point. Verse 35. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's foes shall be they of his own household. He that loveth father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he that loveth son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And he that taketh not care of his cross, and he that taketh not his cross, and follow after me, is not worthy of me. He that findeth his life shall lose it, and he that loses his life for my sake shall find it. He that receive you, receive me, and he that receive me, receive him that sent me. He that receive a prophet, in the name of a prophet shall receive a prophet's reward, and he that receive a righteous man in the name of a righteous man shall receive a righteous man's reward. And whosoever shall give to drink unto one of these little ones a cup of cold water only in the name of a disciple, verily I say unto you, he shall in no wise lose his reward. And that is the end of St. Matthew chapter 10. Now, I told you all to take note of St. Matthew chapter 10 and verse 34, where he says, do not think that I came to send peace on earth, but to send the sword. Now, I know a lot of people would jump on that and say, well, Jesus' whole purpose was to cause contention and confusion because of that verse right there. And I would say to you, there is something called context. And we need to read for context clues as to what is being said to us. Because sometimes the writings come in figurative terms rather than in deliberate terms. So here when he says, he did not come for peace, but he came for the sword. It is figuratively speaking, because he went on to say he's going to cause fathers to be against sons, and sons against fathers, and daughters against mothers. Why is that so? It's not because he's contentious and he's coming to cause an uproar and make a mess of everything and cause everybody to be fighting against each other. No. Based on the context here, he's saying that because some people are going to follow him and some are going to oppose him, it is going to cause conflicts within families. That's all it's saying. Per my understanding, and I can safely say I have a darn good understanding of the English language and the written word. And that is why I always say, guys, when you read the Bible, I have a very big problem with people who seek to just grab a verse here and grab a verse there of the Bible. I have a problem with that. Because when you just grab a verse here and grab a verse there, you haven't really read the context of what that particular verse contains. You have just missed the whole point. Because I'm sure there is something before and afterwards that will justify that one sentence, that one verse that you are reading. But you have to just read. You ever listen to those pastors? They're preaching a whole sermon. These prosperity gospel pastors, they preach a whole sermon for 2 hours based on one single verse in the Bible. They take one verse and they use that one verse as their guide, and they preach about this one verb. They turn it inside out, upside down, preach about it, or you must abide by this verse. But if you never go to the Bible and read it for yourself, you might not realize that that one verse that they have been preaching about, what they're saying, when it was said in the Bible, it had absolutely nothing to do with what they're saying. And that is why I say context is so important. And that is why I like to read the whole thing. If it's one verse, I'm going to read the entire chapter pertaining to that verse, so that I can know who was speaking, to whom were they speaking, what were they talking about, what were the circumstances surrounding the utterance of that particular statement, and what makes that statement relevant to me now. That's me. Because I don't like these one verse throwing out one verse here, one verse there. I don't like that, because I don't think that accomplishes the real goal. When people like to do that, when pastors like to do that, I find it to be a deliberate attempt to misconstrue what is really being said in the Bible, and put their own spin on it. That's my view. But we're going to continue. We will continue. We're going to read chapter 11. This is our last chapter for the morning, the book of Matthew, chapter 11. And it came to pass, when Jesus had made an end of commanding his 12 disciples, he departed thence to teach and to preach in their cities. Now, when John had heard in the prison the words of Christ, he sent two of his disciples. Oh, so John had disciples too. Oh, did you all know that? I didn't know that John had disciples. Let's read again. And it came to pass when Jesus had made an end of commanding his 12 disciples, he departed thence to teach and to preach in their cities. Now, when John had heard in the prison the works of Christ, he sent two of his disciples and said unto him, Art thou be that should come, or do we look for another? Jesus answered and said unto them, Go and show John again those things which ye do hear and see. All right, so that confirms to me that John did have his own disciples as well. And John sent his disciples to consult with Jesus. And he said unto him, Art thou he that should come, or do we look for another? Jesus answered and said unto them, Go and show John again these things which ye do hear and see. The blind receive their sight, and the lame walk. The lepers are cleansed, and the deaf hear. The dead are raised up, and the poor have the gospel preached to them. This is interesting. This is interesting. And the poor have the gospel preached to them. So having the gospel preached to the poor, how is that comparable to the blind seeing? That's interesting. I guess that explains a lot. That explains a lot. Why poor people are so hell-bent. Okay, let us continue. Verse 6. And blessed is he whosoever shall not be offended in me. And as they departed, Jesus began to say unto the multitudes concerning John, What went ye out into the wilderness to see? A reed shaken with the wind? But what went ye out to see? A man clothed in soft raiment? Behold, they that wear soft clothing are in kings' houses. But what went ye out to see? A prophet? Yea, I say unto you, and more than a prophet. For this is he of whom it is written, Behold, I send my messenger before thy face, which shall prepare thy way before thee. Verily I say unto you, among them that are born of women, there hath not risen a greater than John the Baptist. Notwithstanding, he that is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. And from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffers violence, and the violent take it by force. For all the prophets and the law prophesied unto John. And if he will receive it, this is Elias, which was for to come. What? Which was for to come, or which had come. Remember Elias, as we determined in our last reading, that this Elias that the New Testament talk about, this prophet Elias, was really Isaiah. And when it talks about Jeremy, was really Jeremiah. We determined that. All right, let us continue. He that have ears to hear, let him hear. But whereunto shall I liken this generation? It is like unto children sitting in the markets, and calling unto their fellows, and saying, We have piped unto you, and ye have not danced. We have mourned unto you, and ye have not lamented. For John came neither eating nor drinking, and they say, He hath a devil. The Son of Man came eating and drinking, and they say, Behold, a man gluttonous, and a wine bibber, a friend of publicans and sinners, but wisdom is justified of her children. Then began he to upbraid the cities, wherein most of his mighty works were done, because they repented not. Woe unto thee, woe unto thee, Chorazin! Woe unto thee, Bethsaida! For if the mighty works which were done in you had been done in Tyre and Sidon, they would have repented long ago in sackcloth and ashes. But I say unto you, it shall be more tolerable for Tyre and Sidon at the day of judgment than for you. And now this is the city of Chorazin and the city of Bethsaida that he is sort of cursing here, because he had preached there, but the people ignored him, did not accept him. So he said if he had done that same preaching, the same preaching that he did in Chorazin and Bethsaida, if he had done that same preaching in Tyre and Sidon, the people would come and bow down to him in sackcloth and ashes. But I say unto you, it shall be more tolerable for Tyre and Sidon at the day of judgment than for you. And thou, Capernaum, which are exalted unto heaven, shall be brought down to hell. For if the mighty works which have been done in thee have been done in Sodom, it would have remained until this day. But I say unto you, that it shall be more tolerable for the land of Sodom in the day of judgment than for you. At that time Jesus answered and said, I thank thee, O Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because thou hast hid these things from the wise and prudent, and hast revealed them unto babes. Even so, Father, for so it seemed good in thy sight. All things are delivered unto me of my Father, and no man knows the Son but the Father, save the Son, and he to whomsoever the Son will reveal him. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. All right, there ends the reading of St. Matthew chapter 11, and actually that also is the end of this morning's Bible reading. And in that Bible read, in that chapter, in chapter 10, we see where Jesus has selected all of his disciples and he has sent them out to go preach and teach in Israel. Go from city to city, preach and teach the people, heal the sick. Now, this to me seems like an effort for a great restoration of Israel. Because remember, the the famine and the pestilence that have been brought upon Israel has caused great desolation. And so there were lots of people there who had basically lost their faith. And because of the famine, a lot of people were um, malnourished and they had been reduced to nothing, basically. You understand what it is when there's a famine and there's not enough food. There's not enough food to eat. And then there were people with congenital diseases and other diseases that it required medical attention, required a healing if they were to be able to participate in the activities of the community. And certainly at that time, Israel needed people more than anything else. People who were civic minded and civic oriented and wanted to see the rebuilding of Jerusalem and see Jerusalem standing strong and tall again as it once was. So here Jesus came and he gave his disciples the power of healing to go out and heal the people. And he was specific to tell them not to go into these cities in other countries of the Pharisees. I'm sure we are going to read something more about that when he says, do not go into their cities. And whenever you go into a household, you have to inquire first to see if the persons in that household, if they are all worthy of this blessing that you have brought. Because if they are Pharisees or they are not descendants of Israel, they are not qualified to receive this blessing from this Jesus, who is a descendant of David and also a descendant of Judah. Is not nobody else. They are not allowed to get this blessing. So those were specific instructions. Those were specific instructions given to the disciples. So when we come back tomorrow, we are going to continue with the reading. We'll be reading chapters, maybe 3 more chapters as I continue on this quest to read the Bible from the beginning to the end. And I'm taking you all with me on this journey. You will hear my flubs, you will hear my blubs, you will hear my confusions, you will hear, because there are many when you are reading the Bible. Okay, and we have discovered that over the many months that we have been reading the Bible. But anywho, I want to say thanks to everybody who came into the live. Thanks for those of you who stopped in to listen at least. And for those of you who hit the like button, I want to say thank you so much. I sincerely appreciate you all. That's where we are going to end the live for this morning, guys. Please don't forget to join me again tomorrow morning, same time, same place, when we continue on this journey, reading the Bible from the beginning to the end. That's going to be it from me for right now, my friends. Until next time, this is Trev from Trevessence, where your journey matters. Have yourselves a great day, everybody.